Gentlemen, first off, welcome for coming back to Seneca Golf Course again for this second section of our lessons. We're going to go back over what we covered in Lesson 1 and grow on what we covered in Lesson 1 with chipping. In Lesson 1, we covered putting. We're going to take what we learned with putting and grow with the bump and run chip shot, and we're going to grow with that bump and run chip shot to the pitch shot. And then we're going to try and even make it a little bit more difficult and teach you all a lofted pitch shot, maybe even a flop shot. So if you brought your putters, I'd like to go ahead and remind you all to grab your putters real quick, because I want to refresh you all with your putters real quick. If everybody would, just go ahead and grab your putters and go ahead and sit it down in front of you. Now, what we're looking to do when we're putting the golf ball, I did last week remind you all that we did hold the putter a certain way, but it will be slightly different when we hold the other clubs. We'll cover that when we grab a round grip, but we're going to go ahead and just remind ourselves of how to hold the club. The grip pressure is going to be very light. On a scale of 1 to 10, we want it to be less than 4. We want the left index finger over the pinky finger. Just to remind ourselves, the left index finger over the pinky finger of your right hand. Okay, and we want your thumbs running down the flat part of the shaft of that grip. That's why we have a flat front on those grips. Okay. We also want to have our hands forward pressed in front of our zippers, okay? Because remember, the sweet spot on these clubs, on these putters, is actually higher on the face than we actually think. In order to hit that spot, we want our hands to be forward pressed, and we want our hands to follow through to the target, not the club head. So remember, the hands follow through, not the club head. So when we follow through, the hands follow through, not the club head. And the next most important part of putting is to accelerate. Remember, if you take it back on a speed of, at a scale of 1 to 10, if you take it back on a speed of 5, I want you to follow through on a speed of 6. So it has to be gradually accelerating. It doesn't have to be on a, if you take it back on a speed of 5, follow through on a speed of 10, but it does have to be a slight acceleration, okay? That's with every shot in golf, okay? Any questions about putting, what we covered last week? And did anybody get out and practice putting last week? I know 2 guys missed putting, but did any of the guys that were here with putting, did y'all get to practice putting?
I did.
Yeah, and did you find any success?
Finally, I've started to really come around.
Yeah, you feel like it's a little bit more comfortable than what we worked on? Good. Bill?
I played a couple rounds and
Yeah. Forward pressing? Forward pressing, feel a little bit more comfortable?
Yeah.
Good.
Sure did.
Did you get to practice any?
Just at home on the car.
That's okay. That's fine. Yeah, because this time of year, obviously we're all bundled up in sweaters, so any type of practice would be good practice this time of year. So that's good. So guys, what we're going to try to do now is literally take what we know how to do with the putter and take a 7-iron and replace the putter with a 7-iron and try almost do the exact same thing. Okay, so we're going to try and take our putting stroke and implement a 7-iron with that putting stroke. Okay, so let's go ahead and switch to our 7-irons. Okay. Now, before everything else, I'm going to cover the grip real quick before we go anywhere else, and how to hold the club in our hands, okay? This is real important. Ben Hogan would always say he could tell a good player by how they held the club. He could tell if you're a good player or a bad player instantly by how you held the club. If the first thing you notice is these 2 fingers are interlocked. The next thing you should notice is when I set the club down that there are no gaps in the grip. So when you look at the back, all my fingers are tightly knit together. Back down, everything is tightly knit. There's no appendages working independently. There are no gaps in the grip. Okay, everything's tightly knit. Okay. Next thing is, very commonly, this left hand will sit on the club, what we call is weak. And this left thumb will be on the top of the shaft. And that's actually wrong. We want this left thumb to be slightly on the right hand side of the shaft, okay, just slightly. Okay, this will make this V on your left hand point to your right shoulder. Okay, this should match up to your right shoulder. Same thing with your right hand. This V will match up to your right shoulder as well. Okay, so both of these V's will match up. Now, another big strong point that people will find a lot of discomfort in their grip will be this thumb. Some people will hide this thumb underneath their hand. It's actually supposed to be in your palm. Okay, some people will kind of put it off to the side or back behind. A lot of people find discomfort in that when they're first starting out, but it needs to be in your palm, okay? This will provide stability when you're hitting the shot. It'll provide stability when you take the club back and through the hitting area, so that way you have complete control of the club. So it's very important that you have a very fundamentally sound grip, okay? So hold the club just that fashion, okay? Very important that you have a fundamentally sound grip, okay? Once again, your grip pressure is very important here. On a scale of 1 to 10, we want it to be less than 4, okay? We don't want to have, a real strong grip, okay? So nice soft hands would be good here, right? Any questions about your golf grip?
I've got one, Dave.
Okay, Stretch.
The question is, what about the overlap?
Very good. So Stretch is asking a question about another very commonly used golf grip. He's asking, what about the overlap golf grip? I would say the second most used golf grip is the overlap grip. If you want to use the overlap grip as opposed to the interlock grip, that's perfectly acceptable. So this is a great question. I look for questions like this when I teach. So this is a great question. Overlap grip is the second grip. If you do not feel comfortable with interlock, I will teach the overlap grip. So yes, that's perfectly acceptable. Okay, so that's a great question. Any other questions about overlap or interlock grip? They're very similar, Stretch. The only difference is this finger is going to sit on there. Some people will find that their grip pressure loosens up when they do that. So that's a great example. So what happens is this finger comes over the top when you do that, and you'll find that your grip pressure loosens up some. So that's perfectly fine to use. Okay. Any other questions? No? Okay. So these V's, remember these V's match up. Okay. V's. Point to your right shoulder. Very good. No gaps in your golf grip. Okay? That'll be with every round golf grip that you use, from chipping to full swing. Okay? That'll be a neutral golf grip. Everybody got that? All right. Now, on the putting green, we talked about ball position just for a second. When we're hitting a putter, can anybody tell me where the ball position should be with your putter? Ball position is the ball in relation to your stance. Where is it supposed to be with your putter?
Slightly in front of middle.
Yeah, middle or slightly in front of middle, correct. Because we want to roll the ball. We don't want the putter to hit we don't want the ball to be in back of our stance and us to hit down on it. Or we don't want it to be too far forward and us to be popping up on it. So we want it to be middle or slightly in front of middle. That's correct. Now, we're going to take a 7-iron, which is a different club. It has a totally different loft. Can anybody remember what the loft of a putter is? It's about 4 degrees. Okay, we're going to totally change the loft of this club, which is a 7-iron, and we're going to put the ball position even with our right toe. Okay, the shot that we're going to learn is called the bump and run. Okay, this is the safest, simplest chip shot, and you should want to have as many bump and run chip shots as you can. If you have to chip, you want the bump and run chip shot. Okay, so you want this ball position even with your right toe, and the reason being is because what you're going to do is you're going to put the ball position even with your right toe, and you're going to put your weight about 60 or 70% on your left foot. Now what this does, it puts your center in front of the golf ball. Now what this makes you really do is make ball first contact, because your center is in front of the golf ball now. So you're coming downwards and you make ball first contact and then you strike the ground. How many people hit the ground first and then hit the golf ball when they're chipping? A lot, right? That's because you're trying to help the ball get up and your weight gets back behind it and your ball position's too far forward. We need to let the loft of the club get the ball into the air and let your weight and your ball position allow the loft of the club to work for you. Don't try to help it. Let the club and your body position let the shot do what it's supposed to do. So the ball position, even with your right toe and your weight forward, allows you to strike ball first and then the ground, and that causes a crisp shot and hitting it solid. You remember us talking about when we were putting, having to hit different shots, different distances. Well, when you chip, no shot is exactly the same. So you're hitting shots 10 feet, 15 feet, 20 feet, 30 feet, 40 feet, etc. So in order to hit these shots different distances when you're chipping, you really have to hit them solid. That's what's most important, is hitting them solid, because if you can hit them solid, then you can control your distances. Does that make sense? So if you can hit a 7-iron solid every time with your chip, then you can control your distance. Make sense? So we're looking for solid contact more than anything. Once again, direction is not really that important with this type shot. It's not something that, I mean, obviously to make it, yes, you have to be really precise, but distance control is going to be more important to getting the ball up and down. Okay, because you can point yourself towards the target pretty easily, but hitting it 15 yards is harder than hitting it towards the target. Does that make sense? Okay, so what we're going to do today is I have a couple stations set up, and we're going to cover the bump and run drill here, okay? And we're going to talk about how to actually hit this bump and run drill in this station that I have set up right over here, okay? So let's come over here to this station. Thanks, Dave. A little offline. Okay. Now, this station is a pretty fun station. I built this station this summer. And this station is got 3 purposes. This box right here is meant for a bump and run chip shot. Your 7-iron, your 6-iron, your 5-iron, you can hit a bump and run with a 3-wood if you wanted to. The purpose of a bump and run is just to bump the back of the ball and roll the ball to the hole, okay? But the objective is to keep the ball along the ground. The ball should not get into the air very high. So therefore, it needs to stay in this box. If you're hitting a bump and run with a 7-iron and it gets somehow into this box, you failed to hit the bump and run chip shot correctly, okay? So when we're hitting this bump and run shot, the only thing you're thinking about is this box. Once again, the ball position is even with your right toe. Your weight is forward. Your hands are forward in front of your zipper, okay? Back, through, towards the target.
Make it in the hole.
Get that on camera?
Sure
Get that on camera?
I did.
Good thing it hit the flag.
That's a birdie.
All right, let's do one from this angle though for
All
me.
right, very good. I should have looked at the target to see how far away it goes. Okay, you ready?
Yep.
Okay, once again, weight forward, ball position even with our right toe. Putting stroke, hands forward. Okay, very simple shot. Now the next part is of the stroke that I need to remind you. Okay, we talked about putting stroke, no wrists, right? We go back and we go through, no wrist movements, okay? This is wrist movement. You can see my wrist moving. Back and through, no wrist movements. My last trip down to Port St. Lucie with the PGA, I had a one-on-one with a PGA instructor down there. And he was able to teach me something very important when we were teaching with chipping. And his new philosophy really stuck to me. It's a really simple way to chip. And it's about wrist movement. When you're chipping and you take the club back and you go through with no wrist movement, I want you to try to remember this when you're using the bump and run with your 7-iron. It's called none to none. You go back with none, no wrist movement. You follow through with none, no wrist movement. Okay? None to none, none. Okay? That should simplify the bump and run wrist movement. Okay? None to none, back and through. All right? Now when we get into this next zone here, when we get into the pitch shot, we'll talk about how to go to some to none. And that will be with a different lofted club, and that'll get the ball into the air a little bit more. Okay? And then we'll get into some to some, and that really gets the ball up into the air. Okay? So we'll talk about that in just a second. Does anybody have any questions right now about the bump and run chip shot? Questions, or if you have any questions whatsoever, they're all good right now.
Well, 7-iron, I'd say probably facing none and none, kind of doing that like punch stroke almost.
You are. But remember, what's more important to follow through with, your hands or your club head?
Club head.
Hands. Remember, You have to follow through with your hands to keep your momentum going through. If your club head goes through, look at the club head loft. Okay?
Hands are going to be slightly in front of the club head.
Always. In order for this chip shot to be hit solid, okay, in order for you to hit this spot here, Bill, that spot, and hit the shot through that square, you have to follow through with your hands. You have to. Like this. Your hands have to lead the club head. If your hands stop, okay, and your club head goes through, look at the loft. All of a sudden, you've turned that bump and run into that shot. Can you envision that? So you have to follow through with your hands. Remember the putting, you have to follow through with your hands. Very, very important you pay attention to that, okay? Because if you don't, you won't hit it solid, and you really struggle chipping off these tight lies, especially like this, because then you're getting the ball into the air and you won't make good contact. So I'm glad that you asked that question, and even though you provided the wrong answer, we clarified what was wrong in your thought there, okay? Because if you don't ask questions, you can't get the right answers, right?
Okay, now what about the approach to the ball, coming into the ball? Should it be descending or should it be on an even tilt?
Well, because your weight's slightly forward,
Yeah.
that puts your center in front of the golf ball. So this is another great question. Did everybody hear that? So what he's asking me is, he says, are you supposed to be hitting down on the ball? Are you supposed to be hitting up on the ball? Or is it even? Well, because your ball position's back and your weight is slightly forward, this is going to cause you to be slightly descending, okay? Because remember what I said, you're going to make ball first contact, but you're going to hit the ground, but the strike on the ground is going to be well out in front of the golf ball because your weight's forward and the ball position's back. So that puts your center in front of the golf ball. So you make ball first, contact going downwards, and then the ground. So that's what provides the good contact. So that's a great question as well.
One other question. Should your arms be close to your body on this shot? In other words, should it be tucked in like that or out or?
Well, if you remember when we did putting, okay, we talked about our arms dangling underneath our shoulders. Every shot that you hit, our arms are dangling underneath our shoulders. They never outstretch and they're never tucked in. So it doesn't matter which club you use, doesn't matter if it's a driver, right? Doesn't matter if it's a putter, your arm's always just dangling underneath your shoulders. So as long as they're underneath your shoulders and you're not having to stretch and you're not too crammed up, as long as your arms are underneath your shoulders, you'll be okay. Were you going to further on that?
I've got the loft of the club is going to do the work on getting the ball to the green.
Correct.
And away from the rest of the fringe or the rest of the rough area.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but so you're shutting down the club just slightly.
With your weight being forward.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah. So this, yes. So what he's asking right there is, he's saying with your weight being slightly forward and the ball position being back, the loft of this 7-iron changes just slightly. That's true, but that's not something that you really need to pay attention to, because what you're looking to do is just bump this ball and roll it to the hole. That's why I said when you hit this bump and run shot, you can use a 7-iron, a 6-iron, or a 3-wood. This past spring, I was watching Luke Donald warm up for the Masters on TV, and he's hitting bump and runs with 3-woods, hybrids, 6-irons. You know, he's hitting it, and he's practicing this at the Masters. Okay, so if he's doing it at the Masters, why wouldn't anybody else? And this past weekend, I don't know if anybody watched that CIMB. I just forgot his name. Tim Clark. Did you see the hybrid bump and run shot he played from about 40 yards off the green? He hit it to that. So I mean, it doesn't matter which club you hit. If you've got a tight lie, don't try to hit that fancy lofted shot. Because the tight lie, that's how you blade it and you chunk it. That's how you make double bogey. Hit the bump and run shot. Do you have to hit the bump and run shot from here? No, you could putt it. I'm just trying to teach you the most simple shot. You could hit the bump and run shot out in there on the approach, okay? So it doesn't absolutely mean you have to hit the 7-iron, but I'm just trying to teach you how to hit it with this club specifically. You can use the 5-iron, the 4-iron. Come out here and practice with different clubs. Don't come out here and just, practice with your wedge. Get some better feel and touch around the greens.
So
Definitely.
Bump and run, you want to get it on the green as soon as possible, on the ground, rolling as soon as possible.
That's right. As soon as you can. Do not get it above this line. Okay? Do not get it above that line, especially when you're on the fringe. We're going to move over to this next bump and run station real quick, and we're going to talk about one other thing when we're hitting these shots. Okay, guys. So what we're looking to do also when we're hitting these bump and run shots is not just always focus on the hole, but also look at your landing area and look at where you're trying to land the ball and where it's going to roll to. I have these circles laid out here, these little colorful circles. These colorful circles are a part of our snag equipment here. You can use a hula hoop, you can use a towel, but what you're looking to do is try and land it around this area and let it roll to the hole. So many times people get caught up in looking at the hole instead of their landing area, but what they forget is the landing area is different where that hole is. Eddie, you probably got the best view of this, but what's the hole doing when you get about 5 feet short of the hole? It's breaking right, but what else? It's uphill. But what about right in here? What's it doing? It's going downhill. So your landing area is actually going downhill, right? But you're looking at the hill, looking at the hole, and it's going uphill. So you're telling yourself, well, I got to hit it harder because it's uphill. But your landing area is actually going to kick the ball harder to the hole. So do you have to actually hit it harder because it's uphill? No, because it's actually going to kick it and roll it to the hole. So people look at this type of shot and think, well, I got to hit it harder because it's uphill. But you forgot your landing area is here, and it's going to kick it and roll it to the hole. So on these type shots, don't forget that your landing area is right in front of you. And just let the slope and the ground work for you. You don't have to do anything fancy to, hit this easy shot. If you're on the fringe or just in the rough, this should be a simple shot. You should be, getting up and down.
It goes back to what Dave said, the sooner you can get the ball
on the ground. Yeah. And a lot of times, I'd probably putt this, to be honest, on the fringe. But I'm not afraid to pull out my 7-iron or 8-iron and chip it. I'm one of the few people that I know I play with a lot of different guys, but I'm one of the few people I know I pull out a 7-iron or 6-iron or 8-iron and chip and bump and run anymore. A lot of my college buddies, they always pull out their sand wedge. And I know that they have a lot of confidence in their sand wedge, but it's just so much easier to hit this shot, and it's so much safer. I'll never, even if I do flub it, even if I do try like chunk it, it's still going to roll. I mean, I didn't even follow through.
It gets you through the fringe too, because
a
lot of times when you pull a putter out, then you've got to judge the speed.
Yeah, the loft gets it up on the grass. You're right. You're exactly right. So this shot's a much safer shot, without a doubt.
Now, is there a formula for like how far you should land it on the green versus how far it's going to roll out, or is that a feel thing that you should?
I've once read that there was a formula for that, but I've always thought that there was a feel for it because different people forward press more than others, and different people follow through differently more than others, more aggressively. I once read that like a pitching wedge, if you flew it on the green 3 feet, it would roll 10 feet, etc. with all your different clubs. I could never really grasp that concept, so I'm more of a feel with that. So if you could have that formula, that's great, but I could never find that formula. I would say come out here with different clubs and practice it. Most of you guys in this lineup here, y'all play a lot and practice a lot, so come out here and practice it and get the feel for it. I like to teach more with feel like this, and really encourage that to get that feel, definitely. All right, so guys, we got the concept of the bump and run chip shot. All right, so we're going to break up into these two groups here. All right, so we're going to have Bill, Stretch, and Dad. Dave. I don't know if I can call you Dad on camera. You three, you come here. Steve, Eddie, you all come over here, and we'll have you all over here. What we're going to do is the same thing we did with putting. I'm going to stay over here and do individual instruction on the bump and run. We'll do the individual instruction, and then we'll flip, and then we'll do the chip shot. Okay? All right, Steve, you have any questions so far? All right. And do you have the 7-iron? Okay, so remember the ball position is going to be even with your right toe. That's going to be a big key ingredient here. So this toe here needs to be here, all the way to the club. Keep going. There you go. So remember, it's even with that toe, right? Very good. Yep. And then your hands are going to be in front of your zipper. Very good. Very good. Now, that contact was a 10. You made excellent contact, right? But if you notice that it really jumped off different than what you were expecting because the contact was so good. So try to make that adjustment. Watch that foot. You keep trying to creep it back. Forward press. Excellent. So your contact is really good. So you just have to make the adjustment of softening up the shot, right? Yep. So remember to try and get this ball position correct and get your hands to soften up and get, there you go, very good. One more, okay? Last one. Nice soft hands, nice soft follow through. Trust that it's gonna roll to the hole. Much better, okay? Eddie? Any questions so far, Eddie?
Those diggers, I try to help raise the ball.
Any questions about anything going on right now, Eddie?
No, just like I say, in the back of your stance, your
Yep.
hands forward,
Yep.
and try to keep from breaking that wrist.
Yep.
Which I have a tendency to do.
Okay, now hold on real quick, okay? Let me know when you're set up and ready. All right, can you zoom in on his grip real quick? All right, now here's one thing I want you to see here, Eddie. See how white that is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, loosen that up, okay? Soft, soft. Remember, grip pressure on a scale of 1 to 10 is less than 4, okay? Because what happens when this gets tight, so does this, and so does this, and so does this. So then everything becomes quick and jerky, okay? Soft, soft as you can, okay? Soft as you hold Harper, as soft as you got to hold that club, okay? Now scoot this toe here, very good. And your hands are in front of your zipper. Nice, soft hands, soft, soft, soft. Okay, hold still. Now your club head followed through kind of high there, right? So I want you to try and keep the club head very low to the ground. Okay. Try and keep the club head underneath my foot. All right, good try. One more. Nice, smooth.
Easy grip.
Yep, yep. See the discoloration? Go ahead and take your grip
Yeah,
again.
'cause you can
I know,
tell
but you can see the
the
colors.
plan.
You can see the color how it changes. Loosen it up. There it goes. Loosen it up again. Very good, very good. There you go. Now you got it. Very good, Eddie. Much better. Go in. Good shot.
About 5 foot short.
That's all right. So you have to remember that the ball position is even with the toe. Yep. Get your grip pressure soft, okay? Because what happens when you squeeze tight, go ahead and squeeze tight again. Tight, tight, and tight, okay? Because all this is connected. So when that gets tight, everything gets fast and jerky. And when it gets fast and jerky, there is no more stroke. Because remember, it's a putting stroke, and we're trying to make a putting stroke with a 7-iron. So try to, remember that. That's very good. That's much better, okay?
Good results.
Very
Thank
good.
you.
You're welcome. All right, guys. You two switch over there. Straight. Okay, good. Good. And go ahead and choke down on the club just a little. Right there. Very good. Got it? All right, try a couple more. We're going to do just a couple. Very good. What I would like to try to get you to do, stretch, get your feet just a little bit closer. Go ahead and put your heels like this and fan your toes out. All right, very good. What this will cause you to do is keep your weight very, very still. You won't have any side-to-side sway, okay? Go ahead and put this foot at like a 90-degree, there you go, very good. Just like that. Now you got it. That'll help. So when you're doing, these type drills, really just trying, if you focus on it, of shorten your swing, shorten your chip swing, shorten your bump and run swing. If you just focus on it, the acceleration should just come.
Okay.
If you think about it, it will come.
Okay.
So that's what you're looking to do on this shot. Hit one more. Yep. So just think about keeping the club, within my club. That's right.
Yes, we're mine.
That's right.
All right.
Don't worry about the getting into the air part. The loft of the club will do that. Okay.
Yep.
So that's what
You're
you're looking
having to work on that feel from that.
Yeah, and like I said, this is a new shot because, like I said, how often do you practice this shot?
Yeah.
So I mean, this is a shot that you should just walk in and be able to just walk up and do it. 'Cause it's only coming back to, if I could pause it, it feels like it's only like right in here. Like right in here or so. So it's not going back very far. The first couple ones you took, it seemed like it was like right in here.
Yeah, that's what it felt like.
Yeah. All right, Bill. All right, can you put to work what we were talking about not doing? Right? Follow through with the hands. Very important. Ball position is very good there.
Go clear him a path there.
Okay.
I know he gonna knock one in. not going in, he's gonna start clucking like he's 5'6".
All right, now we want your hands to be forward pressed. Okay, very good. Okay, so that gets the loft of the 7-iron the way that we want it. Loosen the grip, okay, not so tight. Very good, okay, very good. All right, oh. Keep your weight forward as long as you can, Bill. Okay, so your weight stays. Go ahead and set back up. I want all your weight on this leg, okay? Keep it on this foot here, keep it there. When you follow through, I want your hands to touch the handle of my grip, your hands. Look how far your hands are away, okay? So you're really struggling with that. So here's how we fix that. Go ahead and set up. Okay. Take this hand off. Put it on your thigh. All right. You're going to hit this shot with just one hand. Okay. Same setup. Ball position. Put this toe here. Good. All your weight here. All right. Now look where the hole is, Bill, and you got to follow through to that hole. Okay. One more. One-handed. Okay. All right. That's all right. That's all right. Don't worry about it. Here, we're going to get it. What I'm trying to get you to feel, Bill, with this one-handed drill is going back and through with your hand, okay? Because what you're missing is this follow-through, okay? There you go. So your hand got right here. Very good, okay? Okay. I want your hands to go back and through going to the target, Bill, okay? It's very, very important that you get your hands going through the target. It's more important than anything else because if your hands stop and the club head goes, you're really going to struggle with distance control and hitting the shot solid, okay? All right, guys, what we're going to do here is the pitch shot that we were just talking about, okay? So the ball position is going to be slightly back in our stance. We're going to take the club back and we're going to hinge some, okay, with our wrists. All right, this is going to get the club to come up, add some loft. It's also going to increase our wrist angle so that when we come through, it's going to increase the shaft angle and we're going to lead the hands through the shot just like we were talking about, getting the hands more in front of the golf club to get a better descending blow and getting the club to hit, the ball to hit the middle of the club face, okay? So when you increase that shot, the wrist angle, you're getting your hands even further in front of the golf ball, okay? This is also known as the sum to none, okay? This is very important, Bill, especially for you, okay? Sum to none, okay? So you're going to sum hinge, no unhinge, okay? Follow me, guys? Sum to none, hinge. Follow me? Feet close together once again. Weight slightly forward to make the good contact still. Sum to none. Hit that one just a touch too hard. Try it one more time. Weight slightly forward. Hands slightly forward. Sum to none. And it might be a little close for this loft of club. But we're just trying to get the trajectory to go through this square, okay? We might need to change the loft of this club here, but I grabbed pitch and wedge, and then we're going to change the loft of the club, and we'll try the next loft of the club. We might be a little bit more successful with more loft on this shot, okay? We have any questions about this shot? Ball
Still light grip?
Still light grip, that's right, okay? Ball position is going to be still in the back middle of our stance. Same grip. Slight hinge, hold the follow through, okay? Any questions? Follow through low, keep your hands in front of the golf ball. We're going to hit 2 shots apiece, okay? Excellent, good contact, great contact. Trajectory just a little high, but yeah, that's all right. And Bill, when you do something like that with this training aid in front of you, you should instantly know that your left wrist was cupped, and that's what got the ball that high in the air. So another good one. Very good. Slightly back. Yeah, just a little bit more. Keep going. Keep going. Right there. All right, hands in front of the zipper. Very good. The loft of the club will get the ball into the air. Excellent. Very good. That one's got a good lie already. So that means that in order to get through that square, we need to get that left wrist to get it through the shot a little bit more. Very good. Very good. Okay, kind of some thick stuff here. Look at the square. Look at where you're wanting to hit it. There you go. Some to none with your wrist. Some to none. All right. It's all right. That's all right. Okay, let's try it one more time. So, some to none. All right, so the chip's coming off a little low. Let's try one more here, okay? Here's what I'm looking for, okay? When you take the club back, you gotta get the toe of the club up in the air, okay? All right, like that. And your wrist is gonna be slightly hinged here. And you're gonna come down and you're gonna hit down like that. And that will get you to follow through with your hands in front of the ball. There you go, yep, exactly. That's all right, that's all right. Let's try one more. Last one.
You look like you decelerated on that one.
Probably.
Yeah, it's because he's thinking
Yeah,
about the
I'm thinking
technique.
too much.
Yeah, just thinking about the technique that I shown him. Contact was good. All right, so that's all right. Well, we're practicing. The shot that we're hitting from the rough right now is with the pitching wedge. So what I'm showing you right now, most of the shots that we hit with these clubs from the rough are going to tend to go a little long. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to hit the exact same shot, but we're going to switch clubs. We're going to switch to the sand wedge now. So if everybody would switch to your sand wedge. Now we're going to switch clubs to our sand wedge. The difference between our sand wedge and pitching wedge is roughly 8 degrees. Okay. Now 8 degrees aloft is going to be quite a lot. So when we get through this rough and we come through, the ball's going to come off much softer. So when we get through this box here, we're going to come through the higher part of this box now. And now when we land on the green, it's going to be much softer, and the ball is going to land and not roll as much. So we should get quite a lot closer to the hole here. Same ball position, same weighting, same wrist hinge.
Some to none again?
Some to none, yes. Same shot. The only thing that's changing, excuse me, the only thing that's changing is the loft of the club. Okay? If you notice, the ball's coming off much softer. Okay, not rolling quite as much, so the ball is able to stay closer to the hole.
Ball look like it's got backspin on it.
Well, it's going to have a little bit more spin on it because it's able to sit on the face just a touch longer because of the loft of the club. That pitching wedge, like I said, it's got about 48 degrees aloft, depending on the brain of the pitching wedge, and that ball is going to bounce off there quite more. This is going to have about 56 degrees aloft, so it's going to sit on the face just a touch longer and be able to, like I said, land on the green and grab. Okay, so when you come out here and chip, that's why it's important to experiment with different clubs. Don't just grab your sand wedge and your putter and go around the green. Grab different clubs. Teach yourself something about all 14 clubs that you have. That's why we have 14 of them. Good. Hands are going to be in front of your zipper, and I really want you to focus on the some to none wrist hinge. All right, hold on. Let's try one more. All right, Bill. So look at my wrist. Some to none. Okay, look. Some to none. It's all right. Now hold on. Look at my hips. You got to be over here. Has to be on your left. When chipping, okay, never ever finish away from the target. Always stay finished facing the target. Okay. Look. Everything's going that way. Don't ever go away from the target. Always finish that way. Look where the club's going to bottom out. So now I'm going, as opposed to where I was, where it was ball first contact and then the ground, right? So if you finish back here, now the club's bottoming out back here. You got to keep your weight forward to make good contact. okay? Got to keep it forward to make good contact. If you get your weight going backwards, especially while swinging the club, you'll flub it, okay? Great shot. Good contact. Good high loft on it. One more. Ball position could come back some. That could be why the ball kind of climbed up high on you. All right, that's all right. Follow through more with your hands, okay? Focus on your hands following through to my handle. That's all right, but could you see how your hands stuck into your hip? Okay. Hands. Okay. Gotta think about your hands following through more than anything. Ball position will be, so scoot that way. Scoot to your left. Keep going. A little bit more. There you go, right there. Very good. Weight's gonna be forward. Hands are gonna be forward. Okay, one more.
Now, should the face be open?
No, it should be square. We're not trying to hit a fancy shot here. We're just trying to hit a normal chip. There.
That's perfect.
That's perfect. Go in. And he can hit the lofted shot out of it.
Concentration.
All right. Now, Eddie, I want you to try and get it through that box, okay? I want you to really focus on the trajectory here, okay? So follow through with lower with your hands. Ball position even a little bit more back, just a little bit more in your stance. There you go. Forward press a little bit more. Very good. All right.
Look me up.
Last one.
We did the same thing already.
Last one. Remember, hands in front of the shot. Okay. That's all right. Contact's really good, but I really want you to work on the trajectory there because the ball's kind of jumping up on you. Yep.
Ball, don't we?
Yep.
Good contact.
Pretty good there.
Contact, very good. Look at your direction here, stretch. All right, now, I want you to pay attention to how low and left that ball's going, stretch. That has to do with your takeaway. Set up to the ball one more time real quick. All right, now I would like the club face to sit like that, okay? Now when you take the club away, I'd like the club to come more like this. We want the toe of the club to be open. You're taking it back like that. See how that's closed? And that's gonna be very low and left, okay? So we need the toe of the club to be open like that. That's square, okay? You have it very low and left, that's closed. So when you hit this shot, it's gonna go through that lower left square of the box as opposed to the middle of it.
Right there.
Yep, exactly. And that'll get the ball to come up higher in the air. Now that one you just hit a little thin.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
stretch. So when you take the club back, it should be like this, and you follow through, and that'll get the ball in the air just a little bit higher. Okay. Okay. So I want you to try and focus on that. Getting the club to come here, and that'll get the ball up in the air more.
Gotcha.
Does that sound good?
Yes, sir.
All right. All right, guys. We're going to conclude the class today. Once again, I want to thank you all for coming out to Seneca Golf Course. For today's chipping and pitching class. We're going to have another class on full swings in a couple of weeks. Whenever we can get that together, I'll send out an email and we'll get together again as soon as we can. But before we go, I want to just review this class one more time. So the bump and run chip shot is very similar to a putt. Ball position will be even with our right toe. Our weight will be forward in our stand, or forward. This will get our center in front of the shot. Ball position will be back. Hands will be forward. We want to try and make a putting stroke back and through. Hands going through. Hands going through the shot's more important than the club head. Okay. When we hit a pitch shot, a lofted pitch shot, the ball position will be middle back of our stance. We will go back with no hands at first to hit a normal pitch shot, and then when we will add when we add a little bit more loft, we'll add a little bit of a wrist hinge. And hold the angle going through. Now, if you absolutely have to hit a really high shot, you will then unhinge on the follow through, like some of you accidentally were doing today to hit it over that top bar. But that's that's a specialty shot, and we really didn't get into that today because we were kind of struggling with executing the normal pitch shot. Okay. I wanted to show y'all before we go this club that I built a couple of years ago. This is an extended club. Okay, this club's designed to teach you chipping. Okay, and what I'm trying to do here, this is a pitching wedge, and what I'm trying to do is show you this extended club and keep the shaft away from your body, also keeping your hands away from your body. If you flip and stop your hands, the shaft kind of chastises you and hits you in the ribs. Okay, so if you flip your wrist, you hit yourself in the side. Okay, if any of you would like to borrow this when you're chipping to try and work on getting your hands to follow through, you're more than welcome to practice chipping with this. You can go back and through, following through. If you have an alignment rod, you can also just take an alignment rod and run it up the shaft and chip, doing that the same way. Okay, so you can do that as well. That's a couple of key components to try and keeping your hands following through that way. Okay. Do we have any questions about what we did today, chipping the bump and run chip shot or the pitch shots from the rough or around the edges of the green?
Well, it's nice to know that all the time that I've been put too much pressure in my grip,
Well,
which you ease that pressure, and like you say, it loosens up everything.
well, and let me tell you something that every athlete that doesn't matter which sport you play, every athlete will battle in any competition. Doesn't matter if you're playing in a tournament, if you're playing in a money game, if you're playing in a men's club event. It doesn't matter if you're pitching, if you're a quarterback, or if you're playing golf. You have to be able to step aside mentally and say to yourself, relax. Don't grip the club that tight. You have to be able to say, follow through with your hands. You have to be able to say, accelerate. You have to be able to say, ball position on your right toe and follow through, or forward press with your hands. Stretch needs to follow. Remember to take the club and get the toe. If you can't mentally remember those things while you're playing, then you're going to revert. You revert right back to it, because it's the second that you get into a pressure situation, you'll go immediately to what is comfortable to you, and what is immediately comfortable to you may be wrong, and therefore you're going to hit the shot the way you didn't want to hit it. So try to remember that, and if you can remember that while you're out there playing, you'll be better off being able to try to execute the shot the way you want to. You may or may not execute it the way you want to, but you'll still be proud that you remembered to say, hey, I tried the best that I could. So you'll be better off that way. So those are great comments, guys. Guys, we're going to conclude the class. And once again, I thank you all for coming out, and we'll get together soon, and hopefully we get some more beautiful November days like this. Okay? Thanks again.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right.